The most dominant player in college lacrosse last year, bringing home the Tewaaraton, was Brennan O'Neill. The 6'2", 250-pound beast of an attackman seemingly could score at will in the 2023 season. His size and strength don't seem to slow him down as he flies by defenders to the goal. Pairing this with a shooting form that goalies can never seem to figure out, he has risen to be one of the best players in college lacrosse. In 2023, he had 55 goals and 42 assists, showing that he can go to the rack and dish the ball to his other weapons. With high expectations of another Tewaaraton and a national championship in 2024, will Brennan O'Neill be able to face the pressure? In our first clip, O'Neill's deadly first step opens up a shooting opportunity. Again, his defender shades to the top side, knowing O'Neill is a lefty. To open his left hand, O'Neill needs his defender to open his hips. To do this, he breaks down the righty alley, forcing his defender to open his hips downfield. In addition, the pull brings his stick over, leaving the rollback wide open. Once O'Neill feels the defender's hips are flipped and his stick is on the front side, he rolls back. In this rollback, he keeps his stick up, and instead of running up the top side, he knows he has a good angle and can get more power with planted feet. Shooting with his planted feet also avoids the slide that was coming for him on the top side. In this clip, O'Neill receives the ball in the wing with a few yards of space with his defender closing in. O'Neill is at a massive disadvantage here because the defender has to close this distance with O'Neill being such a shooting threat. O'Neill uses the defender's forward motion to his advantage and throws a fake jump shot. Defenders especially flinch at fake shots when they're running out on an approach to a player with open hands. This flinch from the defender shrivels him up, allowing O'Neill to attack with contact. The defender easily falls on his heels because of his bad positioning originally. O'Neill rolls off, creating more separation, and brings his stick on the other side of his body with one hand to protect it. Once he feels the trail check miss, he flips his stick back over and rips it to the top shelf. Here O'Neill plays to his strength of his left hand. The D-mid is shading the top side so heavily because he knows if O'Neill gets his left hand on the top side, he's going to score. This allows O'Neill to create a huge space down the righty alley. As he progresses through his dodge, the slide hesitates, most likely because he doesn't see O'Neill as a righty threat down the alley. But with so much space, O'Neill's easily able to flip his hips to his strong hand and massively increase his angle. It's important how he flipped his hips along with his hands so he could gain more power than a lefty leaner. He now has open hands in a shooting position with a full view of the goal, allowing him to place it wherever he wants. This whole play, O'Neill took a bad situation of being forced down his offhand alley and is able to play to his strengths and score. This next clip I'm showing because I want to showcase O'Neill's unique shooting form. When O'Neill pulls his stick back to shoot, he brings it nearly to his toes. This completely conceals the ball from the goalie and it makes it hard to read at what point he's going to release the ball. With such a large windup and his strength, he can generate a ridiculous amount of power on his shots. As a defender, it's also daunting to see such a big windup causing so many players to flinch. This opens up so many opportunities to throw fakes like this next clip. O'Neill receives this ball at his feet with open space. If this ball was at his shoulder, he could have just caught and ripped it, but in the time he loads up, a defender closes the gap. Again, when defenders close this gap, they tend not to break down and flinch at the shot. O'Neill uses his large windup to deceive his defender, and he comes straight into a face dodge. This not only gets his defender, but the goalie also bites low, causing him to be out of position. O'Neill then dips his head and finishes high on the keeper. While many people think Brennan O'Neill just uses his size to score, he can be deceptive with his body language. Again, the D-mid completely seals the top side because he knows O'Neill's top side with his left hand is basically a guaranteed goal. This completely leaves the alley open. The D-mid gets smoked and recovers to the inside, thinking a slide is coming. But O'Neill elevates his body to look like a feeder and fades from the goal. This frees the slide because he doesn't see O'Neill as a threat. As soon as O'Neill sees this, he switches to his strong hand and gains angle, ripping a shot into the goal. This was another example of O'Neill utilizing a disadvantaged position. O'Neill's shooting form opens up so many variety of fakes. In this clip, O'Neill takes the top side, the whole defense sees him as a threat. When he pulls back his shot, the entire defense freezes because he's such a large windup. All he has to do is throw a small hitch and keep running, and he has completely free hands. Since Brennan is such a threat, he has the ability to become a great feeder because slides are always sent to him. In 2021, he only had 10 assists, and in his past season, he had 42 assists, as he was seen as a bigger threat, allowing him to feed more. In this clip, he dodges the D-mid down the alley, who tries to make contact and slow him down, but completely fails. The slide is immediately sent, and O'Neill is able to dish to the inside for the goal. At the start of this clip, O'Neill squares up like he's going to feed, sitting behind the pick. He then attacks upfield trying to gain an angle on the goal. He knows that he wants his left hand, and to do that, he needs the inside roll. Using the speed he gained from coming below the pick, he initiates the contact into his defender. Using his size along with winging his arm out, he's able to dictate the dodge and shrug his defender off. Off the roll, he jumps to really get his hips around and finishes the question mark into the bottom corner of the goal. O'Neill's great because he does simple things right. In this clip, he sees his defender playing with him decently square, so he dodges to his strong hand down the lefty alley. He dodges extremely north to south towards the pick. This causes a little bit of confusion and a switch/slide from the D-mid. This small buffer of space during the transfer is when O'Neill knows he has to shoot. With this small space, he sees Dylan Ward hugging the pipe. The beauty of O'Neill's shot is that it comes straight over his head, which in this case increases his angle, allowing him to finish opposite side corner of Ward. While most people will never be able to play like O'Neill purely because of his athletic dominance, there are many things we can take away from his game. O'Neill does an amazing job of utilizing his circumstances. Everyone on the field knows his game, yet they can't stop him. Whenever they send him down the right alley, he finds a way to get his stick into his left hand and finish. Once they start sending slides early, O'Neill becomes a feeder and he lets his other weapons do the work. The other part of O'Neill's game that I like is the simplicity. While he for sure has some insane shots and plays, a lot of his game is simple split dodges and fundamental shots from the outside. While there's a time and place for fancy plays, sometimes the simple things are the most efficient. I'm excited to watch Brennan O'Neill in the 2024 season, and I expect big things to come from him. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe for more film breakdowns.